Welcome to the Bear Grease Roadshow, where we're going to take you on the wildest adventures in North America with hillbillies, hobos, and cowboys.
There's a lot of mythology around the American cowboy. Some of it's hype, but when you see the genuine, somebody who's not playing a part, you know it.
When I was a kid growing up, about all I knew was that I did want to do my share of hunting and my share of horseback riding on the, working cattle. That's all I really wanted.
Warner Glenn didn't one day decide to try to be a cowboy. He was born one, and he's lived every day of his now 87 years on planet Earth as one. He's undoubtedly one of the oldest, gritty, living, working cowboys left in America. He grew up ranching and hunting with his father, Marvin Glenn. But in 1960, he and his wife bought the Malpai Ranch. Malpai means rough country. His ranch is a rugged and dangerous swath of cattle country in southern Arizona that literally runs along the Mexican border. I'm intrigued by Mr. Warner for uncountable reasons, but one is that he's a mule man, like me, and to this day, he rides upwards of 2,500 miles a year, ranching and chasing mountain lions with hounds on mules. And right beside Warner to this day is their daughter Kelly and granddaughter Mackenzie, who still live and work on the Malpai.
Since day one that I remember, I loved the way of life. I loved the hunting. I loved the ranching. It was a no-brainer. This is where I want to be. It's always where I wanted to be.
Kelly is as hardcore a rancher and dry ground lion hunter as they make. I can't express how hard these people work. Nothing comes for free in this desert. This is a story of legacy, a story of hard work, a story of hunting, and one incredible family's ability to bind it all together. I'm Clay Newcomb, and this is the Bear Grease Roadshow. Ecologically, this is a wild place. Not only do they have mountain lions, which are very common, there's also another big cat here, which is extremely rare on American soil. The Jaguar. They typically live in Mexico and all the way down into Central America. But in 1996, Warner was the first person to photograph a live jaguar in the U.S. Warner's photographs made national headlines. His mountain lion dogs bayed the jaguar, but left it completely unharmed. And clearly, these animals are highly protected and not hunted.
Clay, this is the first picture I took of that jaguar when I got down there to where the dogs were baying, and the dogs were underneath this bluff. Right on top of the bluff. I was looking across, and that tree had hid me coming in.
You thought it was a big Tom lion.
I thought it, yeah. And when I saw that, I was amazed. I had to run up to my mule and get my camera. When I could hear him roaring at those dogs.
Wow. And now a jaguar has a very distinct roar.
I mean, he was darn sure mad.
Yeah.
It was and I really didn't know what that noise was, and then I thought to myself, that's that doggone jaguar.
And this was the first jaguar that you had ever seen, and your dad always wanted to catch a jaguar.
Yeah, he sure did.
What's so unique about this is that for there to be a jaguar in the United States is such a unique thing, and is really just a massive win for conservation. That we have them here,
And that's kind of the reason I had some good photos, and I was able to get the dogs away.
Yeah.
And the jaguar pulled out, just went on south.
What I wouldn't have known about Arizona is this is some true wilderness back in here. And the fact that these cats, the fringe of their range reaches into the United States is
southern part of the state.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So what we do is we are full-time cattle ranchers and we are full-time dry ground lion hunters. It's a way of managing a predator that is the top of the food chain in our region. We love the thought of lions in the mountains, but we also have a responsibility to the ranchers because we are a rancher also and we know about depredation.
Lion hunting with hounds in this part of the world has been going on ever since ranchers brought domestic stock into this desert. Lions eat cattle and horse colts, and ranchers are responsible to protect their livelihood. Despite changing opinions around ranching, hunting, and land usage, Warner Glenn and his family are spokesmen for the region's traditional way of life. The Glenn family has been here since 1896. Their way of life, the constant work, dawn to dusk, hasn't changed over time. These rough strains of desert cattle aren't managed much different today than they were in the late 1800s. Warner rides every single day, checking water, checking calves, and looking for evidence of predation. These people are deeply connected to the land.
So Dad, I'm gonna get a breast collar.
Okay.
Come here, Hook. There we go. Oh, this is holding until let's just try it.
They were right with the cattle up in there, but the lion jumped out of the brush.
We're going on a lion hunt. A neighboring rancher saw a mountain lion eating a coyote near his cattle corral yesterday afternoon.
To the left, and he went across that little ridge and dropped into, there's a little rocky canyon that goes out here right in front of us towards Frying Canyon. That's where he left. That's the last time he saw him.
Okay, so the coyote should have been right at the base of those rocks on that ledge out of there. Is that correct?
Correct. Somewhere right there is where the coyote should be.
Okay. Okay, you can let him go. Yeah.
Mr. Warner, do you still get excited when you cut a fresh lion track?
Yeah, I don't get too excited until we get on the track, then I do.
On the track you do. So having done this 70 years doesn't take away the excitement of that, huh?
No, I tell you what, I like to get on a good track.
That's what I thought you'd say.
Trey, I don't think a guy that likes to hunt loses that. I hope not.
You hadn't lost it yet and you're
No.
86?
I'm testing it, but it
Yeah.
sure hasn't lost it. Yeah, come here.
Catch it.
Does this catch it?
Let's catch it.
This number one?
Yes.
Number one.
Catch it. You deserve number one today, I guess. So yesterday, this rancher saw a lion right over there with a coyote.
Right. It had killed a coyote and it was dragging it out of these corrals and went right up through those rocks.
So that was midday yesterday?
2:30 in the afternoon.
So 14 hours ago, something
Right.
like that? So what are we hoping for, Mr. Warner?
We're hoping that lion came back because it dropped the coyote evidently at the base of the little bluffs and then went out over the top and pulled out. But we're hoping it came back during sometime, probably late evening or early in the night there.
Yeah.
And ate the coyote. The first thing we'll do this morning is we're going to go over there and see if the dogs can hit anything right around those rocks. We'll probably get on top.
And hopefully he came back last night,
Yeah.
and the track's a lot fresher in 14 hours, because 14 hours would be tough for the dogs to
Right.
trail.
They wouldn't be able to trail it.
Yeah.
No.
And you know, this dry ground lion hunting like we're doing is some of the toughest trailing conditions there is for hounds.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be. It's dry. And I tell you, if the wind comes up, it's worse yet. Hopefully.
Right as you said that, a big gust of wind just hit me in the back of the neck.
Yep.
We better go hunting.
Lion hunting in the northern states typically entails utilizing snow to find a lion track. The snow helps you see the track and typically creates good scent trailing conditions for the hounds, but that may not be intuitive. When you're hunting in the desert without snow, it's called dry ground hunting. The dry dirt creates difficult trailing conditions, and the difficulty creates an elite class of hounds and houndsmen. Everybody looks up to successful dry ground lion hunters. And to the people that know, Warner Glenn is considered to be one of the very best dry ground lion hunters alive today and even of all time.
So I see a track right here. It came right down through here. So, and it's real hard to see in the gravel, so it could be the tom, Dad.
We're looking for that coyote carcass so we can get the dogs right on the track, but we can't find it. So we start looking for tracks in the sand. Dry ground lion hunting is a team effort, a partnership between dog and man. Dogs do a lot of work, but so do the people.
Okay, you see the pink and yellow rock? Okay, go back 1 foot, back that way, and you'll see that track right there. Dad, it's on the trail, so we're still going right.
Kelly is incredible at finding lion tracks. She's done it since she was a little girl. To an untrained eye like mine, it's like trying to read a book in a different language.
When you come out on a hunt like this, man, it's really about the whole process of getting out in the mountains with the mules, watching the dogs work, trailing a pretty elusive creature. You don't look for quick results at all. And even in I have 5 days here, it's a pretty high expectation to think that we're even gonna catch a lion during that time, so I'm just trying to enjoy.
The dogs continue to cold trail the track, barking sporadically, and by early afternoon we've traveled about 7 miles from where we started, but the track is getting colder. This country is rough on everything: dog feet, mule hooves, and people. It's early March and the arid chill is surprisingly sharp. It's extremely dry. Another translation of the word malpai is untillable land, because everything either sticks you, stings you, or bites you. And along the trail, sometimes a man needs reprieve. As we head back for the truck, we come across a couple of clearly well-traveled footpaths littered with clothing debris and empty water bottles. These aren't from any of the critters that we're interested in.
Look at that.
They're made by drug runners.
That's a drug booty. The drug guys put their feet in there with their shoes on so they don't leave tracks. You can see where he walked on it.
Backpacks, clothes, food wrappers were discarded under this rock overhang. I'm left thinking, what madness would drive someone to tackle this wild place on foot?
What I think people don't understand is they hear that there's a wall on the southern border, and there's a wall on parts of it. It's a 2,000 mile border, and I think there's like 600 miles that has a wall. And so this mountain range we're lion hunting in, there's no wall.
That's right.
There's
Down
nothing.
where it goes into Mexico.
Where this range goes into Mexico,
It's open country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where
Which-
these drugs are coming across.
Which we are okay with the open country because it's wildlife corridors. You can't live in fear, and you can't just quit hunting or quit using the landscape or
Yeah.
managing the wildlife.
I have a lot of respect for the way Warner and Kelly deal with living in one of the political hotspots of the world, the U.S.-Mexican border. Like in so many other areas of their life, they're reasonable people of balance. Border security is a must, but they also want to maintain critical wildlife corridors.
To me, it seems like your life has been, a key feature of your life has been your work ethic. I mean, you work still at 86, you work daylight till dark.
Well,
Where do you get that?
I'm afraid to slow down. I've slowed down a lot, no doubt, but the work, I think I always had a pretty good work ethic. It seemed like the days were never long enough to get everything done.
Yeah.
But and even more so now. I mean, the whole world is changing so much. In the old days, it seemed like, well, hunting, for instance, Daddy and I would go camp out on each hunt maybe a week or 10 days at a time in a tent somewhere. Mm-hmm. And nowadays, with the way we hunt, we've got gooseneck trailers, and you can haul your mules and your dogs, and we go ahead and drive a couple hours to hunt somewhere and come back late in the evening. And it's better. We have a lot better success at that time.
We didn't have tracking collars.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even have good radios. Mm-hmm. So Warner went with the hounds, and he'd help them up through the bluffs. And I mean, that might mean, so a lion would go out over the top of some big bluff, and Dad would push his dogs up and reach down and pull them by the collars or let them down by the tail.
Wow.
You know, that was him, and he was a master at that, and everybody knew that. All the lion hunting community knew it. So one day, like 20 years ago, a young guy that was a lion hunter said, Warner, he said, how do you still go afoot with your hounds? And he wasn't being disrespectful that Warner was getting older. Dad goes, I just got slower hounds.
Well, really, looking back, those times were hard to beat.
What advice would you give yourself back when you were 20, now that you're 86? What would you tell a 20-year-old Warner Glenn that would have helped him?
All right, drive slow and drink lots of water.
Whatever tips Warner has on longevity, joking or not, I'll take. He's an incredible testament to simply not stopping. His humble and positive attitude was deeply impacting to me, and I believe probably connected to his incredible health. I'd say he's in the upper echelon of physical and mental human longevity. And I'm not kidding, this man works like he's 40 years old. And cattle ranching on a big ranch like the Malpai, as I'm about to find out, takes everything you've got. We lion hunted for 2 days and didn't catch anything. And on the third day, they needed to work up some calves, which means vaccinating and branding them. I've joined Kelly, Warner, and Mackenzie to give them a hand.
So what they're doing here is they're vaccinating these cattle, castrating the bulls, and they're putting their brand on it. You can cut an ear tag out, but you can't reverse a brand. So I mean, it's just essential down here to keep your livelihood in your possession.
Their operation isn't much different today than it would have been 100 years ago. On horseback, we rounded up the cattle and drove them into a corral. There were about 25 mama cows and probably 15 calves. Now, we're trying to sort out the calves.
So, cattle ranchers in this part of the world, they're lion hunters. They go hand in hand.
Yeah, some of them are. The ones that kind of like hunting.
Yeah.
Anyway, usually get some dogs and train them. We're in this area right now. We're probably the only ones still hunting. So a lot of the ranchers call us if they have a fresh kill, a calf kill, or colt, whatever. It's some kind of domestic stock.
Yeah.
And they'll call us. If we can respond to talk, we go try to catch one that's killing livestock.
Mackenzie's second grade teacher had my dad come to their class and tell all the little boys in the class how to tip his hat to the ladies, how to open a door for ladies, how to do all these things, because she knew that's what Warner Glenn personified. He's what everybody would wish that their son would grow up to be like, or their dad was like, or he's a good guy. I love riding out every single morning. Every day's a new day. Every moment of that day, you have the opportunity to hit a good track. Sometimes you don't. Most of the time you don't, in all honesty. The same with ranching. Every single day's an adventure. Mm-hmm. Some days aren't too good. Some days there's hardship. But this is what I was born to do. And I'm good with that.
I tell you, I see so much country that's being developed and fragmented, you might say, in development, especially around the big cities, but it's spreading out into the valleys now. And not only in Arizona, but Colorado, New Mexico, you see that. And fragmentation of the land, you're breaking up your wildlife corridors, the habitat, you know. And I like wildlife. I like to see wildlife do good, and they need some space.
Deep in the heart of people that live close to the land is a love of wild places and beasts. It can be a heartbreaking time to be alive because of the landscape level habitat fragmentation and the encroachment of civilization and the social ideological changes in the way people believe the land should be managed. But people like the Glenns have dedicated their lives to preserving what they call open country. You'll hear them use that descriptor a lot. There's a lot of public land down here, but a lot of it is large private ranches, which are also critical pieces of wildlife habitat. For 128 years, the Glenn family has astutely observed the changes in this landscape. They've become one with the droughts and the deluges, the ups and downs of lion numbers and cattle prices, the extreme heat and cold, the grass resource that keeps their cattle operation afloat. The simplicity of this life is deceiving because it's traded for a never-ending workday, but it's fueled by an honest love of the land. True to the image of the American cowboy families, the Glenns have got to be some of the toughest people I know. However, what I'm struck by is their kindness, generosity, and humility.
This is for old men, so here you are.
Thank you. I'm an old man, man. Yeah.
I came home from spending 5 days with Warner Glenn and was challenged to be more positive towards others. Warner is constantly building up and inspiring the people around him.
How many people will you ever know in your life you can interview like this, and when they walk out, they make you feel special? Genuinely, just like
Zero.
Warner has accomplished a lot in his life, but he reflects the praise to others and is genuinely humble. And their unrelenting commitment to conservation is truly inspiring. Shortly after we filmed this episode, Warner's best hound, Hook, died at the age of 12 years old. He was going full send baying on a mountain lion, doing what he was bred to do when he fell off a cliff. And not long after that, Mr. Warner was hauling fencing material to a remote corner of their ranch on muleback and was bucked off in a rough spot. He fractured several ribs and punctured a lung, but has made a full recovery and is riding, ranching, and hunting today. I told you this guy was tough, and I guarantee you they won't ever make another one like Warner Glenn.